Hi, I'm Steve Burdett with the Education Recognition Program, and today we will be going over in Chronicle, documenting group classes and individual encounters. And we'll also be going over creating the templates for your education classes. So, that which will save time, if you have a standard class, um, you know, when we'll go into it in just a bit. So what I've done, I'm in Chronicle now, and I just went to the education tab. So, and the first example we'll do is just creating a new group class. So when you go into the education tab, you'll see all of the classes you've ever had. You can search here by class name. Um, and then, so for instance, you have two options. You can do one-on-one or a new group. Keep in mind, new one-on-ones can be done through the patient record. So I'm just going to create a new group class, and we'll make it a little bit more realistic. Let's say February. Okay. And you can indicate whether it's comprehensive or post-comprehensive. And then the format. All right. So now this is taking me into the actual class I've created. So we'll see here, I can update the information, the instructional methods, as well as materials needed. Location, web internet would be considered telehealth. In which language. I'll save changes. Okay, so next to the right here, we have your sessions. I don't have any yet. And then we have the educator time spent. I don't have any of that yet. So what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and first create our class sessions. So let's say for my program, maybe I have, in what Chronicle considers a class could be definitely a series. And then, let's say you have a monthly class with 4 sessions. Maybe you do one a week. Okay. So you would just go in and click your add sessions here. Type of intervention. Date, again, this is February, so I'll just choose maybe the Monday of each week, right? And then your duration. Any notes? Save changes. Okay. And you can go ahead and just keep adding those. Maybe next one is session 2. And then you can just keep doing this just depending on how many sessions you have. And then next you have your educator time spent. So you can go ahead and enter this in before or after. So you can, document which educators, maybe they taught, an hour each there. You just indicate the minutes here. The educators on the left. Save changes. Okay, and next we're going to go over to the left menu to create your lesson plan. So under lesson plan here, you have all the predefined topics or learning objectives. You want to click on edit lesson plan. And here you can indicate which educators taught which topics. So for instance, for my example, I have one educator for each session. So I'll choose, Megan Martin, do a quick entry. So we know she's teaching the entire first session. And keep in mind, you can do different educators for different topics, but I have another educator that's teaching the second session. Save changes. And next you have your lesson plan. So here, or no, excuse me, your session notes. And there's 2 types of notes for each class. There's class notes, it's class-wide notes, and then session notes. So session notes would be individual for each session. And keep in mind that these notes that you create here populates to any patient record, to any patient chart that was marked as attended these sessions or class. So I'm going to go ahead back to the class. So we have this here. Next, you want to update your roster. Now you want to say, which attendees have confirmed that they're going to be attending. So you'll click on update roster. We'll see all the participants here. If you don't see them, you can just simply type their name in. All right. So now, we have your roster, and let's just say, after education, maybe you want to update the attendance. Maybe not everyone made it. So you'll just click on update attendance. Be attended, no show, canceled, rescheduled, canceled, not rescheduled, or NA. Save changes. And then when you're documenting in this class, if you want to quickly go to a specific patient chart, you'll see here on the left-hand side, you just want to click on here to the right. I'm going to update their record, and then it'll take me right to the patient record. Okay, so this is how to manually create a class. But again, what we'll go through now is actually creating a template. And this will save time if you have a standard monthly class or however you have it, if it's pretty standard. Using a class template will definitely save you time. So I'm going to go to manage templates here on the upper left. And keep in mind, just like the filter report and other reports, once you've created it, it'll save here to your templates. So I'm going to go to manage templates. Again, if you don't have any, this will all be blank. And I'm going to create a new template. And this can be a very generic name. You can change it at any time. I'm just going to call it monthly class template. Okay, so now this next step is what you're defining in for this template. So keep in mind, any of this can be changed when it's actually time for the class. But through this, you would, you're just kind of creating the framework that, to keep you from having to double document this again when it's time for the next class. Maybe I'm just gonna say monthly class. It's gonna be very generic. And as we did before, do my initial comprehensive, indicate, format. And you can go ahead and, put in what you're doing next, the format, the instructional method. And next you have your sessions. So as we just saw before, I created them manually, but now I'm going to go ahead and set the template now. So I'm going to do my 4 sessions for my monthly class. And let's just say, keep it very generic. Session 1. And this does take a little time, but it helps when you're creating another class each time. So you don't have to go in and do this again. All right. Next, you have your educator time. And again, as I did before, when I manually, said which educators and how long they taught, I can go ahead and set this now. And the lesson plan, I can go ahead and say, which educators taught which topics. And that doesn't match what I've already entered for the education time. Class notes, you may not have this before the class, so, you can always leave it blank. So now I want to actually change this name just so I can see it because I have a ton on my filters. All right, I've clicked save. I'm good to go now. So let's say now it's time that, um, to create maybe my March class. Now that I've created a filter, a template. So I'd go ahead here, and I think I called it monthly template 11625. Create class from template. So we'll see here everything I've entered. The only thing I need to populate now are my dates. All right. Now that I've entered my dates, we'll see everything I've already entered here in that template. This is already done for you. My lesson plan, it's already there. So there's you don't have to go in and do that again. No notes yet. And now the only step you'll need to do is updating your roster. So this is, just keep in mind, that this is an option and it's easier, especially if you have a standard format or, per classes. All right. So now, as I mentioned, those were the creating group classes. But now I'm going to go into creating a one-on-one. Let's see. I'm going to go into someone that does not have a session here, and you'll see here under visits, I can see this person does not have any visits. So once I'm in the patient record, I go to the DSMES and follow-up section. And this is if you want to do a new one-on-one or a new follow-up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new one-on-one. Maybe my first encounter is the assessment. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and schedule this. "30 minutes. All right. So, when we created that one-on-one, it's, taking me back to the education tab. So, and this automatically has that one participant in there. You can go ahead and create a lesson plan if you want to say what topics you're going to be addressing during this one-on-one. Now I just clicked on to go back to the chart. So now we have the one-on-one documented. And now you'll see here, this wasn't here before, the pre-assessment and post-evaluation. So, these patient education record, this will only be available if there's a one-on-one or group documented for this participant. So I'll just go ahead and, I'm going to click on the pre-assessment. When it was assessed, during the initial assessment. And then based off of the pre-assessment, that's where your education plan below this comes in. So this has everything that needs review, which is everything. And then if they're taken through group after that or multiple one-on-ones, if you're doing all one-on-ones, you can actually do more sessions under the one-on-one section. So for instance, if you wanted to add sessions to the one-on-one, maybe you're only doing one-on-ones, that's an option. It'll just keep everything more concise for you and still count those encounters and hours. Okay, and we're just going to say this, person completely got everything, may not be realistic, but let's just say for time's sake, they've completed the program. And maybe you have what some programs call frequent flyers. Maybe they come back every 3 months or every 6 months. And you just want to follow up on their goals, see how they're doing. So you have two options to do this. And there is some confusion around one-on-ones versus doing the follow-up summary. So you can do multiple one-on-ones even for follow-ups, but if you would like to reassess them on these objectives, you would want to go ahead and do a follow-up summary, which follow-up summary is really what I recommend for when you see participants after the A through I cycle is complete. So maybe they have completed, maybe they completed in October, but now, you're calling to check up on them, or maybe if they're coming in and you're just doing a follow-up on how they're doing. I would recommend using the follow-up, as a way to do it after the initial comprehensive set is complete. So the new follow-up here, maybe scheduling it. All right. So now we'll see it's taking me to your follow-up. So again, this is a quick way to document, additional information, behavioral change objectives, clinical labs. And this is the only place you can do post-education hospital and ER visits. But now if we go return to the patient record, we'll see that we have another option to do your assessment to see where they're at. So doing a follow-up summary is the only way to create a new follow-up or new post-assessment record. So just keep that in mind. Again, there are two ways to do follow-ups. You can do a new one-on-one or a new follow-up summary. I recommend doing the follow-up summary as something after education has already been complete and you've kind of closed that A through I cycle. But now maybe you're following up on something different or just doing it in general, those folks that keep coming back. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. And just one other report I'm going to add to this call today. If the chart is complete, again, this is Chronicle Pro, so it's all green lights. We have updated the snapshot report here at the lower left. This is for Chronicle Pro. So you now see it's a little bit more visually appealing. It automatically downloads as a PDF. We'll see here. So this is typically what you would send back to the provider. It has, your encounters, education topics addressed, interventions. To the right, you have your labs, your initial education visit, last education visit, where they're at with these behavioral goals. And then any notes for each of these classes or class sessions. So that is something we've added to Chronicle Pro. But if you're not using Chronicle Pro, you will have the regular snapshot report. It just won't be, it's, with the colors, etc. And then I'll add on to that if you are using Chronicle Pro, you have the calendar function, which does show any of your encounters or, one-on-ones, groups, follow-ups that are scheduled. You can easily just click on these and go right to it. And again, if you have any questions, you can always email erp@diabetes.org. And this concludes our webinar on documenting one-on-one and group encounters. Thank you.